I too have some top secret gossip to share. Norm here's a communist.
Hi everyone, I'm Dom Griffin, I'm a film critic, and you're watching the Armchair Auteur. This is an ongoing video series I do where we talk about new movies, old movies, screenplay analysis, that sort of thing. So if you like movies and you like film culture and you like to see people pick it apart, please consider subscribing. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the first 3 episodes of Wandavision, the new MCU TV series on Disney+. 2 of these episodes are out today on Disney+, and the third one is yet to be aired. It'll be out next week. So because I know how people feel about spoilers, especially people that care about the MCU, I will keep this very spoiler light because I'm not a dick. Well, I'm not that much of a dick, I guess. So I want to lead with the fact that I was not in any way, shape, or form looking forward to WandaVision. Like, I do not give a single solitary fraction of a fuck about the Scarlet Witch or the Vision or the MCU depiction of either of them or them together or when he died. None of that stuff. I don't care. I just don't care. My general feelings about the MCU as a whole, even though I'm a big diehard like comic book fan, is just that every new thing that comes out from them, I find myself less excited about. Like, yes, I'll still check it out. Yes, I'll still watch it because I'm always curious, but I don't find myself like yearning for it. You know what I mean? Like, if I had to do like a side-by-side between myself and the me who went and saw Avengers like midnight opening night in 2012, like we're just 2 different people. But the main reason why I'm not as excited anymore is because I'm so kind of tired of the sameness of the brand. You know what I mean? Like the style, like every MCU thing just feels like a variation of the same thing. I'm just not feeling it the way that I used to. And in some ways, WandaVision actually responds very well to my gripes with the MCU franchise as a whole, just not in like a realistic, sustainable way. So, the gist. If you've seen any of the trailers or marketing for WandaVision, you know the show isn't quite the traditional MCU product. Yes, it stars Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen as the Vision and Scarlet Witch respectively, but each episode, thus far anyway, takes place inside an unexplained simulacrum of the real world, styled specifically after classic television sitcoms. The plots, thus far, are literally straightforward sitcom plot, following Wanda and Vision as a married couple hiding out in the suburbs, keeping their superpowers a secret. So the first episode is loosely styled after I Love Lucy and done in sort of a 1950s style, with the second episode moving to the 60s and more of a Bewitched vibe, while the third episode continues that logical progression in a different way that I won't spoil. Going into the show, I sort of assumed this gimmick would be minimized, that each episode would feature a prolonged opener aping old sitcoms, and then shift to a more single camera setup to explore Wanda and Vision poking at the seams of what is clearly not their real life. But instead, it's the reverse. The majority of each half-hour episode so far is just a straightforward sitcom that features enough purposeful weirdness and teases towards MCU continuity to keep people who would potentially be turned off by this experiment from turning to something else. And, you know, without spoiling the third as yet unaired episode, it does appear that as the season progresses, we'll be moving further away from this setup into something a little more traditional as the central mystery begins to unravel. My problem is, I don't care if we unravel that mystery. Like, I just don't. About 10 minutes into the first episode, I was beginning to feel a little bit bored, because I didn't think the gimmick could sustain itself, and I just wanted them to get into the real show already. But by the final act, when Cy Abelman and the mom from that 70s show up, and the show pretty effectively recreates the farcical calamity of an I Love Lucy episode, I gotta admit I was pretty hooked. Look, the idea of just doing a regular throwback sitcom with 2 Marvel characters I otherwise do not care about, it's pretty fun. Bettany and Olsen get to have more fun with their roles than they've ever had in the movies thus far, because you know, well, they're not forced to play barely sketched out supporting players with almost no useful screen time. They're the focal points of the show, and the format allows them to goof around more, and it's truly an infectious experiment. I think the style of the gimmick is more effective in the first episode, as subsequent episodes keep the proper aspect ratio and color grading, but begin to use less period-appropriate framing and composition. And not in a cool, purposeful way to make things feel off-kilter, but in a way that feels like they just stopped trying as hard to be accurate. And honestly, if you see any other reviews about the show and they name-check David Lynch, I want you to find those people and just throw rocks at their house. This is not Lynchian at all, and I'm really tired of people using David Lynch as like a synonym for weirdness, because like, if anything, the show is just, you know, broadly aping like stuff that Noah Hawley already did on FX's Legion series, but like, you know, a little bit less weird. And you can't just say anything that's vaguely Americana and weird is David Lynch. Like, that's just, stop. But look, the writing is solid and breezy and, you know, it's pleasant, okay? Like, honestly, the idea of Marvel's first real MCU show, since the Netflix series seemed destined to be jettisoned from continuity, and no one cares about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so, you know, their first real show being about television itself feels, you know, a little bit on the nose, but it also feels like a welcome change of pace. The show takes some of its plot mechanics from older Wanda and Vision stories, but it's clear the overall concept is inspired by Tom King's Vision miniseries. And the thing I love about series like that is that in Marvel Comics, you're allowed to have a fun one-off book that explores the world with a style and language separate from the regular run-of-the-mill superhero stuff. However, on the big screen, even though people say Winter Soldier is like 3 Days of the Condor or whatever, every MCU movie feels like every other one. They lack the variety the comics they're based on have given us for years. And unfortunately, that's just not going to change with WandaVision, because it's not going to stay a meta-winking sitcom forever. It's going to have to circle back around to set up the Doctor Strange sequel and whatever else. It's going to stop being this adorable little comedy where two actors get to take a break from being crummy superheroes to be pretty charming sitcom leads and go right back down to being about Easter eggs and multiversal travel and whatever the hell else. And I have no doubt when it devolves back into that, it will still find a way to be entertaining. I mean, they've already introduced one character I really like, and also Kathryn Hahn is having so much fun that I'm pretty sure her bit part is going to turn out to be something more. But Bettany and Olsen won't be allowed to weave this stuff into their characters going forward. Particularly Olsen, who will have to go back to being a sullen Eastern European cardboard cutout. And that's a shame, but that's how the MCU works. Maybe I'm wrong and they're going to let Wanda stick around to being more of a comedy vehicle the way Thor has, but I just sincerely doubt it. WandaVision is currently out on Disney+. The first 2 episodes are available. As I said, the 3rd episode will be available next week, and then more episodes every week after that. So, hey, if you're interested, check it out. Like, it's pretty fun. Like, I can see that if you didn't grow up on TV Land or Nick at Night being, like, bored with this, but if you've ever liked shows like that, it's kind of like a loving tribute to them, just with, you know, typical Marvel shit weaved in. Me personally, I just didn't know that I was gonna like the sitcom stuff as much as I did, and I'm kind of bummed out knowing that, like, that's just a temporary diversion. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to get notifications when I put out new videos. If you have any thoughts about WandaVision or the MCU in general, or just how goofy Paul Bettany looks in some of the ads, like, we can talk about this stuff in the comments below. I'm always around. And yeah, thank you guys for watching again. I hope everyone's staying safe, being good to yourselves and each other, wearing your masks, all that jazz. I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.